I'm now going to go through the basic movements that the human mouth goes through when you're speaking. It's something like this. It's A, E, I, O, U, M, and B like this, and P like this, L like this, F like this, U like that. I think that's about the... Oh, and all the rest that I haven't covered are like this. Right? Now, I'm going to animate how are you. Right, piece of paper. Here we are. Right, let's see all the heads there. Now, the first mouth is like that. Open, how, H. How, so it goes to a open O mouth. How, it comes down to a U mouth like that. How. Ah is simply straight open like this, teeth top and bottom. How are, that's just one word, phonetically speaking. How are you? So the Y mouth like that, and then coming to a mouth like that. How are you? Now, I advise you to, in between those mouth positions, otherwise you're going to get a very ragged movement. Now, remember that no two people speak the same way, and I'd just like to use three celebrated examples to demonstrate that point. Edward Heath, Harold Wilson, and Malcolm Muggeridge. Now, Edward Heath talks, holds his body very rigid, and he talks as if he's got a hot potato in his mouth. It's all like that, you see. And Harold Wilson talks as if he's got an invisible pipe still in his mouth. A bit like that, you know. And Malcolm Muggeridge talks very clearly and very distinctly, uses his hands a lot, and almost as if he's in pain, you know, but he's speaking very clearly like that. So watch other people speak and look at yourself in the mirror, and you'll soon get the hang of lip sync. Well, enough of lip sync, and let's get on to sound effects. Now, a lot can be done with sound effects, and not necessarily the right sound effect. Sometimes it's a sound you're not expecting that does a trick.
Where do we get all these effects from? Well, apart from the splendid range available on BBC discs, you can make your own. I've had some Weezer teasers for some films I've been working on. Here we start with a gas combustion engine in 19th century. That one's a and part of a two-stroke lawnmower at home, and scraping the bass strings of a piano with a coin. Next. A squeaky ghost train cart going over a bumpy track. Now, the squeaks were done with the kids' bicycle wheels, recorded and looped, tape looped, and the bumpy track was done with a piece of wood up the holes of a piece of Dexian, and the tape slowed down to at least half speed. Now, another aspect of sound is the art of mouth, and we're going to give you, that is to say, Bruce Lacey and myself are going to give you the art of mouth in 5 parts. Machine. Jazzy. Rude. Wind. Well, passing on from that, we come to the found sound department. This is where we can become aware of the scrapiness, percussiveness, slidiness, etc. of materials commonly found about the home. The first I have is a banjo drum found in an attic, and rice, and doing this regularly, shaking regularly, may give the impression of rain, but it would be better to do it over with another overlay of tape. Now, another thing would be doing this. Played backwards on tape will give the sound of C over shingle. Now, rhythmic effects. It went mostly over the floor. Now, here is a shoebox, and here is a contact mic, and there is the sensitivity of this box, only picking up off the surface. Now, take a bread knife sawing wood. Take the bread knife and bow, violin bow, cheap, and bow. Squeaky gate again. Low notes. Endless possibilities there. We haven't got time for a lot. Next, a drink mixer used to stir one's nightly cup of whatever. Now this is great for motor sounds. Tree felling excitements. The motor of this 1.5 volt battery will interfere with this. Giving racing cars. We pass on now to the simple use of tape recorder in the home. Now the tape, magnetic tape, could be said to be the modern man's manuscript paper. I write on it frequently. Here is the process of editing. The phrase, "all the world's a nut that screws on a twisted thread," will become, when chopped up, thrown on the floor, and stuck back together again. The world's on a twisted thread. Now, looping. I take the percussive bits from that last passage and loop them. That may take actually all morning because there are a lot of edits there and a lot of sticky bits of tape and razor blade techniques. Next, we have speed change, taking that same loop 2 times higher. Is this a strange helicopter? Now, taking it 2 times lower. Is this indigestionized railway train? Now, a simple sound stuttered by sticking bits of tape on the oxide side of the tape. An easy source of electronic sound, shortwave radio on your ordinary radio set, picking up all sorts of fruity, texturous, good sounds. If you have sophisticated facilities, like some cine clubs, you can put the sound on after shooting the film. If not, you'll probably get a much more accurate result by recording the sound first and shooting the picture to this, frame by frame. Looking at the storyboard for Miss Muffet, we describe the sound we want under the pictures. Here, little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, and time the sound to see how long the sequence will run, marking in the times, 0 seconds, 6 seconds where she sits, and so on and so on. Now this sound is recorded onto 1/4-inch tape or 1/4-inch magnetic 8mm perforated tape where the sprockets, each sprocket corresponds with 1 frame of the 8mm film, or we transfer onto 16mm fully coated. Of course, we're looking at the simplest narrative track, But if there was a complex of words, effects, and music, you would pre-mix all these using maximum ingenuity and borrowed tape recorders. In order to use the track as a guide, you have to find out where the different sounds come in. You can use a track reader, like this one. You wind the track past the sound head, here, to isolate the sounds, and the frame counter tells you where you are. You mark the track where sounds begin and end, and where there are particular effects you want to synchronize, like a gunshot. Then you make a bar sheet. You can divide it into half seconds, with one column for the action, then as many columns as you need to note down where the different kinds of sound come and go, and the exact point of spot effects. This way you can relate the picture exactly to the sound, and you can see how many frames you need to animate for each sequence.
Right, so I take all this information from Ron off his bar sheet and I transfer it to what is known as a dope sheet or camera sheet. Right, now here's my dope sheet. Now I transfer frame by frame all that information down here on the left-hand side of the dope sheet. I have written phonetically, how are you? You notice I've written a big O there and a big U down there because that's the way the sound comes out. Now because I've received that information from Ron, I know that that H is going to take 2 frames and that O is going to take 4 frames. Now I do my drawings and I put drawing 1 there and I hold it for 2 frames, drawing 3 there, drawing 5 there, and so on and so forth. Now if I stick accurately to this and if I shoot to this, when the picture is run with the sound, they will be in synchronization.